Hello and welcome back to the channel, and you join me on the third and hopefully final episode on this Ford Ranger rebuild project. If you're not familiar already, we've done 2 episodes on this 2018 Ford Ranger pickup truck. I picked it up from auction and it was a salvage auction, and let's just say it looked like it had been absolutely obliterated on this corner right here. So the headlight, bumper, wing, bonnet, suspension, and even the flitch and the suspension bracket was completely pushed back. We had massive structural damage, and because we had the car pulled at a body shop, I decided let's try our hand at a bit of car painting. So we found ourselves a shabby garage that we could lay down this beautiful paint, and the bonnet and bumper turned out absolutely fantastic. But as I came to spraying the wing, you saw on the previous episodes, it just turned into a disaster. And so last week I headed out on holiday. So for efficiency and convenience, I just thought before I go off on holiday, let's drop the car off to the body shop and get the wing and door resprayed. However, standing here now, I'm absolutely gutted. Look at the state of this paint job. This was an insurance approved body shop, and it's just so hazy. You'll see on the close-ups, it's so hazy and fuzzy, you can't see a true reflection in it. I don't know if it's because of the lacquer they used, but that is absolutely horrible. Let's compare it to my bonnet. So this is the first time I'd ever painted. I've never painted before, but you can see it's almost like a glass-like reflection that's coming through. But that wing is absolutely horrible. I've already spoken to them, so I'm not going to badmouth them too much right now. They're going to give it a go with a wet sand and a polish, and we'll see if that improves it, but I'm not impressed. We paid quite a bit of money for that, so that is absolutely horrible. If they can't get it right, they're just gonna have to paint it again. We can't deal with that, look at it. So I'm in a bit of a rush today, and I'll explain why. We've got a whole list of things to get through, and this car needs to be 100% complete today. It's currently 8 AM in the morning. We woke up nice and early to get this done, and the reason I need to get it done today is because our next build is getting delivered tomorrow by M&M Recovery. So excited for that. This car needs to be done, right? And the main reason I didn't go on a test drive yet is because of that negative camber. The top of the wheel was almost leaning like a tower of pizza. It's horrible. So I didn't want to drive it and be all over the road. Let's get that camber fixed, and then we can go on to getting this car complete. What I did do is go back to the first episode, look through the clips, and I noticed a clear mistake I made. So let's get under the car and have a look. So now that we're underneath the car, we get a much better view of what's going on. If you remember back to episode 1, I completely changed this whole suspension leg on the driver front side, and one of the components of that suspension leg was this lower control arm. And where the lower control arm meets the structure of the car, there's a long bolt here and a long bolt just there at the back, and that goes right through the structure, through the wishbone, and then has a nut on the other side. And this is where you can control all the camber. It's a washer where the hole in the washer is not in the perfect center, and that allows the camber adjustments. Now what happened was, instead of me releasing the nut on this side and then pulling the bolt out, I used the impact gun on this side, and that meant the washer was spun too many times. Here I've gone ahead and bought a brand new camber adjusting washer, and as you can see, where the bolt passes through the washer, there's 2 little dimples right here and here, and those dimples allow the washer to hold on to the bolt. What was happening with mine, when we went to adjust the camber and turning the bolt, the washer was not turning with the bolt because these little notches had been sheared off. So we're going to go ahead, take the car back to the alignment machine with the new washers, and we can get them all replaced and hopefully get the camber 100% perfect. And we're back. We're ready for some graft. That wheel is looking 100% now. On the alignment, I think it was minus 0.3 in the end. So it was in the green, we're happy. Now to start with, because we're 100% complete on this suspension leg, we don't need to do anything further. I'm gonna go ahead and get the splash guard in, so the inner arch lining. And then we can go on to some mods and getting the front bumper complete. I'm spitting everywhere. And get the front bumper complete. And we've got a whole list to go through. Game plan. We need to get the front splash guard in on this corner. We need to get all the daytime running lights, the fog lights, the grille daytime running lights all installed and running. We need to go on to mods. So we need to get the fender arches on. We need to get the rear arches on. We need to get cladding on the rear end. We've got so much to get through, but let's get started with that splash guard. Right, so that was nice and easy, just clipped into place. But if we go over to the passenger side, I'll show you what's happening. Right, so if we look here on the passenger side, when we bought this aftermarket bumper, it was clear this splash guard needed trimming. So with that splash guard on, we're not going to worry about drilling those holes yet. We'll do that a little bit later, but let's get on to assembling this bumper 100%. It looks horrible at the moment. We've got holes where the fog lights should be. We've got no daytime running lights. We've got nothing in the grille yet. So let's get that all wired up. What I'm thinking is we find what wire is providing power to the current daytime running lights. We then snip that wire, tee in our extra lights that we're getting put in, and then we'll just solder it all in place. That's my theory. Let's see if it works. I've not done electricals before, so I'm not 100% sure what to do here, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so what I've done is disconnected the main plug going to this light here, and as you can see, the ignition is currently on, so the side light is on. That's the daytime running light, the standard daytime running light. With power going there, I'm going to see which wire is supplying that power. So let's go one by one and see which light. Not that one. Oh, there we go. So now we know that this purple and white cable is supplying the permanent light for the daytime running light. There you go. Second from the top. Purple. Nice and easy. So we'll cut that cable there, splice in our daytime running lights, and hopefully that should work. With those daytime running lights now in, we've fed the power and negative cables through. Like I said, the positive, we are going to cut the purple and white wire on the side light and splice in that one. Negative, we'll just feed to any bolt that's going to the structure. That should give us a good negative. And we'll see if it works. That is the new daytime running light spliced into there. Like I said, we're just going to see if it works, and then we'll go ahead and solder it in. But let's give it a go. Look at that, looks fantastic. Can't believe it, it's so simple. Wiring maybe isn't that hard after all. Just a simple positive, negative. Look at that. Every time that light there will turn on, and they stay on. As soon as you unlock the car, turn the ignition, those lights always stay on, whether it's day or night, and so will these. So day or night, these lights will stay running. And we want the same with these two lights in the bumper. So let's do the same procedure again. We'll splice in the red into that same cable, and then on this negative we will have 3 negatives. So the one for these two and this one for the grille lights. Hope that makes sense. Fairly simple. Let's get it done. let me talk through how I've done this. So we got one daytime running light here on the passenger side, and that's connected there, and that wire runs all the way along the bottom of the bumper, and it goes to this box here. Now this box here I have just mounted to the aerial point, so that was a nice small bolt that I could just mount that to, so that's not going anywhere. And again, the driver's side daytime running light I've put in there, and then the wire goes up the bumper, behind the headlight, and back to where we did the original daytime running lights. So that just needs soldering up there and there. The negative is just there, and the positive is going to the side light there. We'll tidy it all up. We'll get zip ties to hold all these cables up so they're not visible in the grille. At the moment you can see them dangling down the grille there. So we get that all tied up, and that will be all the daytime running lights done. And we can move on to the 2 fog lights. Now, with all the cables tied up now, looking absolutely perfect, so you can't see any cables behind the grille. They're all tucked behind both the fog lights. We need to get both of the daytime running lights stuck in permanently. So you can see on the back they've got 3M tape. But what I'm going to do is just put a dollop of Tiger Seal either side just to make sure. The tape's probably good enough, but I'll just put 1 dot of Tiger Seal just to make sure it never moves. Perfect. Now they should be drying up. We're making awesome progress. The daytime running lights are all in place, secured, Tiger Sealed. They're not going anywhere. The cables are all cable tied. You can't see any cables behind the grills. Now let's tidy it up and get the 2 fog lights in. That is the front end pretty much complete. We do have a Ford logo that we need to put onto the grille. We'll do that a bit later. That's the daytime running lights, the fog lights, the grille lights, all in place, all soldered. Perfect. On to, I think, the part that I will like the most. I've gone ahead, and you saw in episode 2, we painted the wheel arches. I went for an OEM Plus look, not those big beefy arches that you can get for these kind of cars. I went for the little arches that will just give it that bit of width when it comes to presence on the road. Now, we haven't cleaned this car since we got it, and that's been quite a while. It's been in several garages, it's been here for a long time, and it's gathered a lot of dust. So before I adhesive those arches into place, I do need to give the car a good wash so it gets a good bonding with the Tiger Seal when we bond the arches onto the body of the car. Right, so just as we started drying the car, it started pouring down with rain. So before we get on with the arches, because I want to make sure it doesn't rain once we start putting adhesive on those arches. So before we do that, I have gone ahead and bought a Ford logo. So the letters Ford, F-O-R-D, to go on the grille. They do have a poor finish on them. I'll get a close up. It looks like they were just cheap off eBay. I think they were £15, but that's okay. Later on we can sand it back down and put a nice gloss or a matte black finish. So these letters just need to be fixed to the grille. I've got some screws and washers, so I'll go from the back and fix them in place. Right, so 2 hours later and it's finally stopped raining. I've dried off the car just where we need to, and if you see here, I've got the wheel arches all laid out on each corner that they're going on. And what I'm going to do is start off here at the back, and hopefully it doesn't rain again. If you see on the back of the arches, we've got this 3M tape, so we'll go ahead, peel off the backing of that, try and get it as perfect as we can, and then it's just secured in with these clips at the bottom that go through the wheel arch liner. Right, so that's one arch on, and bloody hell, it's not easy. So what I had to do was peel the 3M tape on the back, and then I went across the tape with a bead of Tiger Seal, and then it just doesn't stick. So when you line the front up, the back flicks off. I think they're just cheap arches, but it's what I wanted. I wanted that OEM plus kind of look, so with the color coded, it looks really smart. I've just got tape holding it in place at the moment. Once that Tiger Seal goes off, it's not going anywhere. So let's move on to the front one. Right, so that is all 4 arches on, and oh my god, that is tricky. So the 3M tape that they had on the arches was absolutely rubbish. Even when we heated it, it just didn't stick. So I put a bead of Tiger Seal, and then like you see behind me, I just taped the parts with the most pressure, so the front and the back just kept pulling away. So taped it down. Once that Tiger Seal cures, it's not going anywhere. Now here at the back of the vehicle, I don't think you guys have even seen the back of the vehicle yet, but one piece of damage that I didn't notice when we were repairing up front was this huge dent here in the tailgate. Looks kind of horrible, so I've jumped on eBay, bought this piece of cladding. It looks cool and it will cover the damage. It'll save us a lot of body work. So let's get this bonded onto the tailgate, and that will tidy up the rear end. Looks pretty cool, and it covers the damage. I'm having second thoughts about these arches. I don't know if it's because of the I don't know if it's because of the sellotape. Don't the wheels look too far in now? Bear in mind, this car has wheel spacers on it. Perhaps we need bigger wheel spacers to really fill out that new arch. I'm not sure. Let's wait for that Tiger Seal to cure. It should take... That Tiger Seal will take overnight to cure. Hopefully it doesn't rain again. But in the morning we'll come back and see how it looks. Oh wait, there's one more thing to do on this car. If we notice on this side, we changed the wing, and the wing came off a Wild Track. This is not a Wild Track Ranger, this is a Limited. So the Wild Track has a grey wing vent, and then if we go over to our original one, we've got a chrome one. I'm not really feeling the chrome one. Instead of changing the whole vent to make it look like a Wild Track, I'll show you what I've bought. With these are just matte black covers, again off eBay. They just stick over like that. Both sides should be matte black. Got some 3M tape again. I'm not really liking this. The 3M tape that it comes with is horrible. I'm hoping the Tiger Seal holds all this, because we don't want an arch flying off, and we don't want the cladding flying off the boot and then these vents. And there you have it. We've got the arches on, we've got these wing grille covers on, we've got the Ford logo, we've got all the daytime running lights. The car from when we picked it up is looking absolutely fantastic. Wow, what a long way we've come. The arches are now in place, all the ducting we've put on the back boot is in place. I've taken all the masking tape off, so this means one thing. Let's go for our first test drive. Since this car was delivered, I have not driven it at all. Whenever it's gone to a garage, M&M Recovery have picked it up and taken it. I have not driven it a single mile, maybe forward and backwards on the driveway and maneuvering around the driveway. That's about it. So let's go. We're going down this country lane, we've got these nice turns, the car is hooking up perfectly, we're going over bumps, there's absolutely no noises, there's no knocks or bangs, the car is effortless. Put the window up, we're going a decent speed, we're going motorway speeds, this is a non-restricted road in Mexico. The car's perfect, absolutely perfect, visibility is great. I'm glad we've got a back window, this mirror we can use as normal, give it some. I mean, it's not fast. The best thing I'd compare it to is a transit van. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a very similar, if not the same engine as a transit van, which I think is also in the Land Rover Defenders. It's the 2.2. I remember that the old Defenders came in a 2.2 and they came in a 2.4 litre as well. I would not be surprised if this is a 2.2 litre straight out of a Defender or a Transit. Right, while we're on this test drive, let's go through what I've actually bought. I bought a 2018 Ford Ranger pickup truck, and it is the limited version, so it's called Ford Ranger Limited. The Wild Track is the top spec one, so the Wild Track comes with usually an automatic transmission, the bumpers are slightly different, and maybe xenon headlights, little things like that. So when I bought this car, I didn't know anything about these pickup trucks. I didn't know what specs they come in, what the ranges were. The Wild Track also usually comes in a 3.2 litre. This is a 2.2 litre. Now for us, the reason I'm not bothered about it is because the 2.2 litre will be better on fuel. We're not going to be hauling trailers and whatnot, so we don't need that extra torque or power that would come from a 3.2. In terms of spec, I prefer a manual box just because if we were to have a trailer, I would prefer to use a manual. I guess that's personal preference. It would be nice if you're city driving to have an automatic transmission, but this six-speed transmission seems fine on this little test drive that we're going on now. Once you come up to about 40 miles per hour, you're in 5th and 6th gear anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference to me. Especially when you're on the motorway, you just sit in 6th gear anyway, so not too bothered about that. And for us, we were just looking for the cheapest one. I wasn't too bothered about Wild Track or Limited or what other specs it comes with. I was happy, comfortable interior, heated seats, leather seats, we've got a heated steering wheel, we've got cruise control, we've got Apple CarPlay, we've got dual climate zone control, folding mirrors, like it's got what you need. So for me, I'm more than happy. I mean, it is bumpy because of the tyres. I always knew that these BF Goodrich tyres were going to be bumpier than a normal Ford Ranger, but it's really fine. If you look, we're driving in a straight line, the steering wheel points straight. Just considering that 3 or 4 weeks ago this car was crumpled like a Coke can. That whole corner was completely crumpled, the suspension was ruined, the alloy was broken in pieces. We actually went ahead and changed the alloy as well. Luckily, the tyre survived on the spare wheel, so that saved us a bit of money. Say going out and spending £180 on a new tyre, these BF Goodrich tyres. But let's just look at the car out here in the countryside, where it fits in perfectly. It looks like a beast. We have completely transformed this car in 3 or 4 weeks. So let's get on to the important part. How much did I pay? How much did I spend on the car? How much did this car cost me sitting here today? And what's it worth? We're not selling it, we're going to use it as a workhorse, but what is this car worth? Right, so the biggest part of it was buying the car itself. From Copart, with the recovery fees and the Copart fees, this car cost me £5,480. Unbelievable. Under £6,000. Now, it's not without reason. The car was crumpled. Anyone looking at the pictures would know the inner wing was bent, the suspension was most likely ruined. Then we go on to parts. There wasn't really many parts. We got the body kit that came with the bumper, the grille, the arches. Then we went with a new bonnet. This is a non-genuine bonnet. If I was ever going to sell the car, I'd probably throw a genuine bonnet on just for the sake of it. People feel safer with a genuine bonnet. For me, not bothered. Headlight. We had the whole suspension leg. We had a couple of cladding pieces and then this beautiful scoop on the bonnet. Those parts came in at a total for £940. And then finally we had labour. Luckily, I didn't need any labour for painting this bonnet, the bonnet scoop, the grille and the bumper. No labour at all because I did that myself. Go back to episode 2 if you missed that one. My first time painting. And if you come over here, the wing and the door, I messed up because I went a bit too juicy with the lacquer, so we got a massive run in the door. So before I went off on holiday between episode 2 and episode 3, I dropped it off to an insurance approved body shop to get painted. Now they gave me an absolute horrible job. If we look at the bonnet, it was like glass off the gun. If we looked at theirs, it was absolutely horrible. It was foggy. You couldn't see a true reflection. For a body shop, which is an insurance approved body shop, it just was not acceptable. So what I did last night while the arches were drying, I went over it with a 2000 wet sand. I pulled out the Meguiar's DA orbital polisher, gave it a polish, and it has improved it a lot. I mean, if we look over here between the back door and the front door, the color is still a bit off. Whereas let's go look at my paint job. So if you remember, I painted the bonnet and the bumper, and if you look at where the bumper meets the wing, there is absolutely no difference in color. The shade is perfect. The match is perfect that we did. I don't know what he was doing, but he cost £290. Then, of course, the biggest part of the job was the pulling. So we had to get the car onto a frame machine, and he had to pull out the inner wing, he had to pull the suspension, and even a mount that was bent under the suspension. So that all cost £400, which is crazy because I remember a long time ago, a friend of mine had a car which needed pulling, and he must have paid triple that to have his 2 front chassis rails pulled. £400 in today's day and age is unheard of. But he did a solid job. I've shown a lot of people the job that he's done, and that inner wing, the way he straightened it without splicing in a new one, that is the original inner wing that was crumpled. The way he's done it is amazing. Yeah, £400 for all the work he did. Pretty ridiculous, not complaining. That was super cheap, so I'm happy with that. That brings our car, recovery, paint, and labour for pulling that suspension and the inner wing to a total of £7,110. Unbelievable. I cannot believe it. These cars go for ridiculous money on Auto Trader, eBay. I haven't checked Facebook, but you know what you get on Facebook. Now, that's enough ranting. This car will now go off to work. It's going to go pick up parts because our next project has just come in from M&M Recovery. I haven't laid eyes on it yet in real life. I've seen pictures, but I'm heading back to check what it looks like. The craziest part about all of this, just a matter of 2 or 3 months ago, I was getting nervous over a £1,000 Ford Focus ST. Crazy. We have come a milestone. We have learned so much. This car alone has taught us what to budget when it comes to frame damage, what it comes to with painting. Painting is not an easy skill. I gave it a go. It came out fine this time, but as you saw, I didn't get the whole job done. Maybe on the next one we can do the whole paint job ourselves. That would be quite a learning curve. We did a bit of electrics, which we've never done before, but a massive learning curve. Super proud of how far we've come. If you're enjoying the channel, please hit that likes button, subscribe, share, and yeah, I'm trying my best. I'm trying to give you a genuine experience, and I hope you've enjoyed the video and the series, the Ford Ranger pickup series, and I'll catch you at the same time next week. On that note, we have been doing weekly uploads for the last 12 or so weeks. It's been tough. If we can't keep up with the weekly episodes, I'll try and keep it as regular as possible. This is not me full time, this is just a hobby, and we'll see how far we can take it.